So we just saw Christopher Robin. Bert, what did you think of Christopher Robin?
Can I just say nothing?
Okay, I guess I'll start then.
Nope.
This isn't a movie for kids. It's very... As an adult, it's very boring. So I can only imagine what it's like for a 6-year-old. It's a whole lot of Christopher Robin doing boring adult business, and then adults thinking they're being charming and witty through these horrific CGI depictions of these characters. And it's just not very interesting at all.
Imagine Elf the movie, but without Elf. And then imagery of a bad, sad British music video. It's so terrible. And they couldn't decide what style they wanted to do the animals in. So it was like they were kind of stuffed animals, but then they were kind of the drawings, and then 2 of them were real creatures.
Yeah, the owl and the rabbit were real animals, and then they just disappeared in the second half.
Which, I mean, I guess they could say, like, hey, he was playing with the real creatures and his stuffed animals,
but then they wouldn't still be alive.
Yeah, and then why isn't the pig real, and why isn't the donkey real? There wasn't an original line of dialogue in this entire movie. Everything was something I've heard before.
Do we even need to talk about the story? Let's lay it out a little bit. Christopher Robin...
Gonna give it more depth than it deserves.
Christopher Robin is old, and he's lost touch with his youth, and he's lost touch with his family, and then his family's like, if you go to work, we're gonna leave you, and then he's like, well, I need to go to work, because it's work. And if I don't go to work, then we can't keep living in the house we live in. And then they're like, tough!
My favorite part is that his job, it wasn't like, man, I need all the money. He was trying to save the jobs of his coworkers and the people who worked under him. He was going to have to lay off a ton of staff. So when his wife's like, why can't you spend time with me? Don't you love me? He could have just said, there are entire families that are depending on me to cut the budget so that we don't have to fire their dads and moms.
Yeah, they did a really bad job making him the bad person in this situation. Usually, there's an Adam Sandler movie, Click. It's called Click, and it has Adam Sandler. And he's like really wrapped up in his business. He's not really spending enough time with his family. And he is the bad guy in that situation. He's like ignoring his family to do things that he doesn't really need to be doing. Whereas in this, what, like you said, like, this was a very fair thing that he needed to be at work for. I think there's more to it than just this one situation, but they didn't really touch upon it enough to really make an impression that he needed to change.
Like, grumble, grumble, my papers are important to me. Grumble, grumble, I have to go.
I wouldn't even say he was as bad as, like, Bob in the first Incredibles.
Yeah,
Like, he hadn't completely checked out. He was just valuing the wrong things. He was still, like, a parent. He was still in with his family. He was just like, you gotta focus on the serious parts of life.
the dialogue was so ingenuine and terrible, and everything was, it's old-timey British stuff. It was so stupid.
You said during the movie that if they took away the British accents, like, basically the British accents is the only reason why they're getting away with this movie.
Yes.
This is like it's just so bad. It's so childish and overdone and hokey.
Imagine Tom Hanks saying to his boss, nothing comes from nothing. It sounds so stupid and cliche, but when it's Ewan McGregor and he's like, nothing comes from nothing, and he's in a fancy man suit, they think that somehow makes it better, and the way everything was filmed, It was like a bad music video.
Let's not get into that yet. This is a really dumb American-made movie, but with people with British accents, so I think it's going to fool a lot of people into thinking that it's more intelligent than it actually is. My favorite part was that Christopher Robin is now a Nazi killer.
That was the worst war scene I had ever seen. It was like, we'll just shake the camera and throw some dirt around and say something about directions or over. It was so bad.
This is directed by the guy that made World War Z, of all things. World War Z?
Watching Pooh walk through a field of grass as his arm brushes up against some flowers, and I think maybe there was even lens flare, or maybe it was just fog.
There was so much lens flare in this movie.
Why did they make this?
The filming in this movie really bothered me, because nothing was shot in a way that meant anything, but it was presenting itself as if it did. What I'm getting at is this movie is very pretentious. Whoever was editing it did I can't even think of the right adjective. It would constantly cut to just these close-ups of people or things or objects that had nothing to do with what was going on. Like somebody would be talking and then it would cut to like a shot of a puddle.
A fern.
Winnie the Pooh just looking.
Oh, like when the shelf fell and it was like, crash, crash, and then it showed the crash a third time.
And it was just all the time, it was like, cutting, now. It was just all over the place. All the time. It didn't stop. That tells me that the director didn't know what he actually wanted. He didn't plan things out. He just filmed everything. And then made the movie in editing. The acting wasn't very good. I mean, it's fine, but you don't really care about who they are. They don't really have characters. Well, it's the same guy.
Oh, really? Was it? That's good.
It's weird that they changed Piglet's voice.
Yeah.
And
the other animals sounded really odd. Like Kanga and the rabbit.
Yes. Yes, they did.
I really hated how, like, Pooh's arms and legs hinged like an old stuffed animal, but then he was soft and squishy and, like, full of cotton like a new stuffed animal, and then his feet would move as he hit the ground. It was just so wrong looking.
My favorite part was that they had to CGI the papers. Because papers would never move like that.
I wish you could just make a montage of all those over-dramatic shots and put them into, like, one...
Oh, the shot of the honey crashing on the floor?
I seriously think there's a music video in this.
Like Shakira with Zootopia, somebody made a music video to tie in with this movie, and then they, like, filmed those shots to be used in the music video? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Except there wasn't really an original...
Or it's just pretentious.
Yeah.
And trying to appeal to hipsters.
I really don't know why they made this.
Money.
Are they really going to make their budget back on this movie?
If I had to guess, I would say it's definitely not going to do what they expect. But I do think it's going to make a fair amount. It's going to at least make their budget back. Probably not quite like double. I don't know what their budget is, but I'm going to guess somewhere around $150 million.
I really hope you're wrong.
Well, it's a Disney movie, so it's almost guaranteed that it's over $100 million. I did actually like some of the music, and I felt bad for John Brion because I like him, and he's done much better movies, and he deserves better than this. He did Punch Drunk Love. And now he's done Christopher Robin.
I really feel like they overused his name.
I was about to make the joke that they title dropped. They dropped the title of this movie in the movie way too often. And the joke was that it was his name. Because they did say his name constantly.
I am going to bed now.
I liked the part that was a horror movie for 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Christopher Robin is like walking through the Thousand Acre Woods, and the Heffalumps are gonna. Oh god. The Heffalumps were just elephants for some reason. Like a real elephant.
Oh, and after he falls into the puddle, the scene underwater with Pooh Bear. Oh my god, with the bubbles.
What was. Oh, it was just like Tully.
You need to make a montage of all of the imagery in this. It's so terrible.
I have a feeling the reason it cut so fast is because they realized how boring it was, and so changing colors, like the flashing colors, would keep children invested.
Well, they had to do something. This seriously is not a children's movie. There's nothing.
I don't even
in
know
it.
who this would be for.
Grandparents.
The jokes are like not even jokes.
It's for grandparents to
It's
accidentally take their.
boring for children. It's not endearing for adults. People who grew up with the characters probably won't really care about anything that's happening in this movie.
Like me.
I don't know what this movie's for. I didn't like this movie.
But I didn't expect to like this movie going in. And if they find out, they're gonna make us watch it again. Because you have to watch a movie with an open mind. Or else that means you wanted to hate it.
Let's just never watch trailers ever and see every single movie.
Let's never ever use our judgment ever.
Goodbye.